Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing. Thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. If you jump on here live here on this Friday evening, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Make sure to give the video a like, a thumbs up. If you have not yet subscribed, please do so and share the video on all social media platforms. It's time to do another 2025 early season college football prediction for another college football team. Good evening, Keveron. Glad to have you here as always. I feel like I haven't done one of these in a couple of weeks now. Maybe I did one early last week. I'm not quite sure. This is probably going to be the 10th or 11th one overall that I've done, including the Falcons. I did do a Falcons early season preview, but outside of that, it's been all college football. I know I've done LSU, Tennessee, Florida State, Clemson, Illinois, Duke, West Virginia, and that might be it. Not quite sure. Anyway, it's time for another one. Tonight we're going to do the Florida Gators, only because a lot of people are thinking they're going to be much improved this year. I'm not sure if much improved is 9 or 10 wins or much improved is 8 wins, because the last couple of years they've struggled to get to a bowl game and finish 6-6. So I thought, well, let's look at their schedule and see if they are by some chance going to be improved. Now we know that according to most people, if they don't have a great season this year, then Billy Napier is going to be fired. But they said the same thing last year, and with Florida standards, last year really wasn't any good, and Billy Napier did not get fired. So I guess we'll see how this season goes. I mean, obviously, if they, fall apart and collapse and go 4-8, then he's out the door. But I don't necessarily believe he has to get to 10 wins to keep his job. If they just show signs of improvement and show that they're playing hard for the coach, he might be okay. I mean, if you go 6-6 or 7-5, but all of your games are competitive and you just lost to a better team, but the administration can tell that the players are playing hard for the coach, that's one thing. But if you go 6-6 or 7-5 and all your losses were to teams better than you, and you just beat who you should beat, lose to who you should lose to, and you lose by 40 or 45 points, and then it looks like the team ain't even trying, then you might be out of a job. Good evening, Rayamundo. Glad to have you here. And good evening, Sissy. Glad to have you here. But Florida opens up the season on August 30th against LIU. And in case you're wondering, that stands for Long Island University. Now, we know that Russ Callaway is the offensive coordinator, but Billy Napier calls the plays, which makes zero sense. If Billy Napier's calling the plays, why even have Russ Callaway listed as your OC? What is he doing? Telling the players how to line up? That's basically all he can do, and your offensive line coach can do that. So to have an OC there, but let the head coach call the plays, makes zero sense. And then Austin Armstrong is entering, I believe, his 3rd season as the defensive coordinator. September the 6th, they play South Florida. So they opened up with 2 of their 4 non-conference games. Hey there, El Pato. Glad to have you here. And hey there, Caroline. Glad to have you here. Thank y'all so much for stopping by. Please feel free to give the video a like and a thumbs up. And if you have not subscribed, please do so. And then in week 3, on September 13th, they start conference play against LSU. El Paso tonight, I'm talking the Florida Gators 2025 college football season, kind of giving my prediction on what I think their record will be. And then September the 20th, they play their third of 4 non-conference games against Miami. And a lot of people kind of sound like they believe the biggest problem right now in college football is that you have the ACC and the SEC playing 8 conference games, and then you have the Big Ten and the Big 12 playing 9 conference games, because they say it's not fair that everybody plays the same amount of games, but yet some teams play 9 conference games and some teams only play 8 conference games. Each conference should play the same amount of conference games. And El Paso, hopefully you'll stick around for a while, and hopefully you'll learn some stuff about college football. You can always get on YouTube and watch any number of random channels to learn about some college football if you do so choose. Hey there, I'm going to assume your name is Soup. Glad to have you here. And Ambrose, you're right. I am a Clemson Tigers fan. But earlier in the week, Kirby Smart had the biggest cop-out you've ever heard in your life for a head coach. Now, granted, I don't listen to any conference media day stuff. To me, it's just a waste of time. It's like watching practice. To me, the coaches tell you nothing and you learn nothing. There's nothing that you want to know that you're going to learn from media days. But I was listening to some sports talk radio, and they were talking about it, and they said apparently Kirby Smart, thank you, El Paso. I greatly appreciate that. The like and the sub. Tell your friends. Tell your family. I appreciate that. Apparently, Kirby Smart was asked about playing a ninth conference game, and Kirby Smart came out and said, why would we play a ninth conference game? That gives us an extra chance to lose. Well, that's kind of the point. If you're so big and bad, play a non-conference game. Play a conference game. Don't sit here and talk about how great you are, but then when you get a chance to play an extra conference game, say, oh no, we don't want to do that. We could lose that game. Oh no. If you're big and bad and tough, you play that game. And Black Jesus, I appreciate the question, but my answer is neither one. It's nothing against either one of those. It's just the fact that I despise politics in every sense of the word. There's nothing about politics in any way that I like or that I follow. So I don't follow anybody. I don't like any of them. I don't support any of them. I think they're all a bunch of liars, and that's why you'll never see me here on the channel talking politics, because I don't follow it. So I don't know enough about any of them to support any of them. I feel like it'd be wrong to support any of them, knowing that I don't know nothing about any of them. But I've just never liked politics. But I do appreciate your question. I feel like there's too many people that try to make politics bigger than what it is. And if people could be logical about politics, it's one thing, but people are illogical when it comes to politics. So I just choose to stay out of it. That way I don't get involved in it. Hey there, Samantha. Glad to have you here again on this Friday. But they say that that's the biggest rigmarole right now in college football, is some conferences playing 8 games and some playing 9 games, because in every other sport, every team plays the same amount of division games or conference games. So college football should be the same way. You shouldn't have 4 power conferences and 2 playing 8 conference games and 2 playing 9 conference games. And Samantha, I am doing fantastic. Hope you are as well. To me, every day above ground is a good day. But after Miami, it's the last week in September, and Florida has their first bye week of the season. Then they open up the month of October on October the 4th against Texas. October the 11th, Texas A&M. And October the 18th, they play Mississippi State. And then they have their second bye week of the season. Then they come back, coming down the home stretch. 5 games to go, opening up November on the 1st. Halloween weekend, as always, playing Georgia. And then on November the 8th, they play Kentucky. On November 15th, Ole Miss. On the 22nd of November, Tennessee. And then they wrap up the regular season on the 29th of November against Florida State. And Dash, thank you for being here. And I'm assuming they wear high heels because they like high heels. That's just a guess. Me personally, I could never wear high heels. I've tried to put them on before, being funny. Matter of fact, I've tried to in the past put on my wife's high heels, just being funny, and I put them on, and the first time my foot touches the ground, I about break my neck. So there's no way I could wear high heels. So props to all the females out there that wear high heels because I can't do it. Hey there, Khalid. Thank you for being here. So God knew what he was doing making me a man because I could never be a female. Just couldn't pull it off. But I was listening to some sports talk earlier today, and they said that in the SEC, just about everybody thinks that the bottom 2 teams are going to be Kentucky and Mississippi State. So I think it's pretty clear that they're the worst 2 teams in the conference. And it's hard to believe that they're going to be so bad. They're picked below Vanderbilt. Actually, most of the predictions that I've seen from the SEC actually have Kentucky and Mississippi State as the 2 bottom teams, and then Arkansas, and then Vanderbilt. So Vanderbilt's picked ahead of Arkansas, Mississippi State, and Kentucky, and I don't think that means that Vanderbilt's going to be good. I just think most folks think that Arkansas, Kentucky, and Mississippi State are just going to be brutally bad. But on to Florida. I've got them going 3-1 in non-conference games. And Samantha, I hope you come back and you'll realize that I didn't respond to that comment because I'm right there with you. I just let it go. Sometimes you see stuff and it's just better to let it go because if you give them attention, you're giving them what they want. So hopefully you'll come back and be with us, Samantha, and ignore the dummies. Unfortunately, you always get some of those. But hey there, Jeremy. Glad to have you here, and I assume you are a Miami fan, so glad to have you here. A good buddy of mine is actually a Miami Hurricane fan. And hey there, Mr. Faso, glad to have you here. And if I pronounced your name wrong, I apologize. And I'm doing absolutely fantastic. Every day is a good day to me. Hey there, Austin, glad to have you here. But I've got Florida going 3-1 in the non-conference, beating LIU, beating South Florida, and beating Florida State. I don't think they'll beat Miami. And thank you for subscribing, Mr. Faso. I greatly appreciate that. And you collect Trevor Lawrence cards. Well, Jeremy, that's good to hear. And hopefully you have all the Trevor Lawrence high school cards and Trevor Lawrence college cards you can get, because at this rate, if you have a Trevor Lawrence Jacksonville Jaguar card, it's probably worth a nickel, maybe, because he's been absolutely pathetic so far in the NFL. Great in high school, great in college. It's not working out in the NFL, and I don't think this year's going to be much better, but maybe I'll be wrong. And no, Austin, I will not be watching SmackDown tonight. Thank you for asking. But as far as in conference, I think they beat Texas A&M, and I think they beat Mississippi State, and I think they beat Kentucky. So I've got them 3-3 in the SEC, 6-6 overall, which is right at what they were last year. So when you say that, it sounds like no sign of improvement, but it could just be the fact that they're a little bit better, but not enough better to see signs in the record category. Because even if you do lose to LSU, and you do lose to Miami, and you lose to Texas, and you lose to Georgia, if you're competitive and the games are closer, then that shows improvement. I'm hoping Trevor gets an offensive line and some better weapons. If won't support, just say God is good. I will make you a special surprise. Well, I also hope, Jeremy, that their offensive line is better, but the problem is, yeah, they can't run the ball at all, and yeah, their offensive line's not very good. But I've seen too many times where Trevor Lawrence has had time, and he's just made some of the most awful throws you've ever seen. And you can't blame that on the offensive line. You can't blame that on nobody except for Trevor Lawrence being terrible. So the times it's not his fault, it's fine. But the times it's his fault, he's just been awful. There's just no other way around it. Hey there, either Laser or Lazar, glad to have you here. And hey there, Vang, glad to have you here. Thank y'all all so much for being here on this Friday night. Hey there, Terrible. And you sound like Charles Barkley when you say terrible. And maybe that's what you're trying to do. If so, you made it. And Lazar, you're from Serbia. We're glad to have you here. All the way from Serbia. And whatever time it is in Serbia and whatever day it is in Serbia, I'm glad to have you here. I knew at one time when I was younger each country's time zone and what time it was in every country. But as I've gotten older, it's just too hard to keep up with. So whatever day and time it is in Serbia, Lazar, so glad to have you here. I know it's Friday night here in the U.S. But 6-6 is okay as long as you're competitive in those games. If you go 6-6 and you lose 5 of those 6 games by 20 plus points, then Billy Napier's probably out the door. But if you go 6-6, but you lose 5 of those 6 games by a touchdown or less, then you're showing improvement. So their record may not be any better, but their competitive spirit on the field could be better. And, you know, I've got them losing to Tennessee, but it seems like no matter how bad Florida is, and no matter how good Tennessee is, Florida beats Tennessee just about every year. Now, this game used to be in like week 3 of the season, and if that game was in week 3 this year, I'd probably pick Florida, only because Tennessee still hasn't quite decided who their quarterback is going to be. We all assume it's going to be Joey Aguilar, but he hasn't been named the quarterback yet. But I feel like you're playing Tennessee in week 13, game number 11. By that time, we'll know who their quarterback is. And by that time, we'll see how good their offense is, and I think they'll beat Florida. But had this game been in week 3 like it used to be, I could see Florida beating Tennessee. Again, and Mr. Fesa, I'm glad you have to go, but thank you so much for being here on this Friday night. But I've got Florida 3-5 in the SEC. Their 3 conference wins over Texas A&M, Mississippi State, and Kentucky. 6-6 overall, winning 3 of their 4 non-conference games, beating LIU, South Florida, and Florida State, but losing to Miami. So any thoughts on any of this, please feel free to let me know. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here, and hopefully everybody's heard this story. Otherwise, it may not make any sense to you. So if you have not heard this story, real quickly, tell me before I sign off and I can explain it to you. But No, Mr. Faisa, I am not ready to be a cowboy, especially a Dallas cowboy, but Coldplay hasn't had a single in years. This week, they made two. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of three. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.